All right. A very good afternoon. And firstly, a warm welcome to Dr. Vipin Chaudhary Saab, who is going to be our resource person. And it's a privilege and an absolute pleasure to have you, sir. The post-lunch sessions are always be difficult, but the topic which our esteemed resource person is going to talk about is really very interesting, and it comes under the theme of values in biodiversity conservation and its management. And as we all are aware of, that human wildlife conflict is one of the challenging aspect on perspective of amongst the not only the wildlife scientists, researchers, biologists, but also from the wildlife and forest management per se. And wishing you everyone a very successful World Forestry Day. And on this very important occasion, we are really delighted to welcome Dr. Vipin Chaudhary Saab, who is currently, the network coordinator for the ICR All India Network Project on Vertebrate Pest Management. He is handling a very important project, which is basically a connecting link, having the coexistence between the agriculture and the wildlife. So, sir, this is a very, mixed kind of a group which we have. We are having around 34 participants all across the country, affiliated with the agriculture universities, general universities, institutions from the state government as well as from the central government side as well. But all of us, and I would consider the organizing members of the organizing committee as well, that we are really looking forward to your valuable and incredible experiences which you have in the vertebrate pest management. And dear participants, Dr. Vipin Chaudhary Saab, as I earlier mentioned, he will be talking about the human-animal conflict with a special reference to the agriculture landscapes. And most of us are actually coming from the agriculture universities and background. But we all have an integrated forestry, trained or educational background or professional background as well. So we do understand that there is a need of the hour, what we call it, as to make the coexistence of the wildlife in the developmental and in the changing scenario and perspective of today's, world. So he's basically educated at the Jai Narayan Vyas University, Jodhpur, which was formerly known as the University of Jodhpur. Dr. Chaudhary Saab has over 3 decades of professional experience in the field of ecobiological studies with special reference to rodent and insect biodiversity and management. Dr. Chaudhary Saab is registered research guide at the Jai Narayan Vyas University, Jodhpur, and member of 10 professional societies. He has published over 160 research papers, book chapters, popular articles and papers in seminar and symposium, technical bulletins and folders. He is currently working as network coordinator, principal scientist in the agriculture entomology as a major in All India Network Project on Vertebrate Pest Management, currently based at the Central Arid Zone Research Institute, what we popularly called as KAZRI in Jodhpur. So with this brief introduction, I would now hand over to Dr. Vipin Chaudhary Saab to please kindly share his incredible experiences and benefit all of us with his more than 3 decades knowledge. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Initially, I would like to thank, just a minute, I've got something different. Sorry, so many things are
No, no
opened up.
problem, sir.
That's why there is a problem. I think now it is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
So thank you, Dr. Aishwarya, for a very excellent introduction. Basically, I am thankful to the organizing secretary and the Dean of College of Forestry, Dr. Kumar Sahab, yourself and VC Sahab, for giving me the opportunity to deliberate upon this topic, which is really a new topic if we consider it for the agriculture field per se, because it is the topic of conservation point. And what we are doing, we have been given a totally reverse work, a totally opposite work. That means we are dealing with the management aspect of this, because in agriculture, some animals are having a real problem, and we are dealing with this. So I have to just to link the conflict in such a manner that I can reflect both agriculture and forestry. So no doubt it's a very tough task. I will try to give you the brief account of everything which is necessary for this lecture. Initially, we were working in the field of rodents and birds only. Of late, all this has come into consideration because people are complaining for all these things, stray animals, then some herbivores and all that. So just with this brief note, I shall come to my presentation, which is given to me by the organizers, that human-animal conflict with a special reference to agricultural landscape. So our next is, now what is human-animal-wildlife conflict? It is just an interaction between the human and wildlife, which is mostly harmful, because when we are talking about the conflict, the word conflict itself implicates that it is harmful. So what it includes, basically, it may include human or wildlife or property, and among the property, it may be a crop field or our assets. So whatever come in the way that has been destroyed by the animals, and that categorize under the category of human wildlife conflict. And here I am going to show you the different vertebrates which are located in the different biogeographical region, which are economically important, not from the agriculture point of view, but also for the predatory point of view or with human-animal conflict point of view. So if we look at the various zones, the biogeographical zones, here I would like to say that we can broadly divide these zones into arid and semi-arid. The trans-Himalayan, Himalayan desert and semi-arid, we call them arid and semi-arid zones. And here if you see, the pressure of wildlife is less. And if in agriculture landscape we see, then only monkey, nilgai and black bug are the problem. If the predatory things we see, then snow leopards, Himalayan bear, wild ass, lion, leopard, etc. are there. But in the humid and subhumid region, which encompass Western Ghats, Deccan Peninsula, Gangetic Plains, coast, northeast and islands, here you can see the area of animals which are problematic. From agriculture point of view, we considered wild boar, elephant, nilgai, black bug and monkeys are the prominent animal which are economically important to the agriculture point of view. We are also having their predators, leopard and lion. And here, if you see, the gores and the porcupine is also there, which are a major problem in the agriculture. And also they are the major problem in the human-wildlife conflict. The roadside accident, the biting, so many cases are there. So, and number of conflict you can see here. If we see the diversity, I have shown the diagrammatic representation of the various zones. I think it is not clearly visible to you, but if you measure things, if you this brown color is the Deccan Peninsula, and this yellow one is the semi-arid region, which includes the Rajasthan part and the part of UP and all these things. If we look at the biodiversity, we are having some 45,000 plant species, and likewise vertebrates, mammals. Vertebrates, we are having 86,874, mammals 390, birds 1,300, reptiles 456, amphibians 311, and fish 2,546. Now, since we are talking about the vertebrates, so we must know their status, because everything is governed by the Wildlife Act. And if we have to certainly have the knowledge of the Act, that what provision is there for these wildlife in the Act. Here I have put a red color to the animals which are problem in the agriculture. They comes under Schedule 3. Here I would like to mention that Schedule 1 to 4 usually incorporates all those animals which cannot be killed. That means a prohibition is there to kill them. But at the same time, if you see the IUCN, in the Schedule 3 and in Schedule 2, these monkey, nilgai, and boars, they are least concerned. What is the meaning of the least concerned? That means their population is, ample number of population is there. Their number is very many. That's why they are least concerned. And here my concern is that if they are least concerned, they should be shifted somewhere else in the schedule so that we can get rid of them. Of course, those which are near threatened or vulnerable, we can categorize them just to protect them. But the problem is that once the Forest Act is formulated, of course, it has been modified so many times, but no major change. The reason, I think for last 30 years, no census except for the tiger, leopard, no census, no real census has been done. We cannot know how many birds are there, how many antelopes are there, how many wild boars are there. Maybe Dr. Aishwarya, correct myself if I am wrong, but my latest reading, just I was going through the literature, which suggests that there is a lack of census in case of these wildlife. And if we look in the agricultural landscape, the vertebrates which are real problem in the landscape, agricultural landscape, they are wild boar, nilgai, elephant, these macaques, and the black buck. And now if you look at the species, the total number of species and the species involved for the damage, they are handful. If you look at the rodents, 103 species and only 10 are involved in the damage. Likewise, bird, 1,300 species and only 63 are there, which are responsible for depredation of the crop. Antelopes, 3 out of 6. Deers, 1 out of 9. Elephant, 1 of 1. Gaur, you see, 1 of 1. Wild boar, 1 of 1. Then black-nabbed hare, 1 of 1. Whereas the primates, 5 against 13. That means very handful species are there which are real problem in the agriculture. So in the Act, something can be done for these. Of course, elephants and all, they are vulnerable and we cannot do much. Now the next is type of conflicts. What kind of conflicts are there? Here you can see that killing of human. That means many a time wildlife kill the human being. Then of course, they are vulnerable to their livestock also. Then accidental injuries. Accidental, many a time you can see on the roadside, some major accidents are there. A nilgai just came across a vehicle and there was a major accident. One one recent incident I just like to recall. One of my friend was going to his hometown. A Nil guy just jumped over his car. It was a fortunate thing that no injury was there, but the animal killed on the spot. So such kind of things are there. Then of course, in agriculture, they are major problem. And in the recent years, a much hue and cry is there about these animals. And then damage to property. Yeah, they are responsible for the damage in the property. You know, the nuisance of the monkey in our houses. Of course, we are also responsible to some extent just to driving monkeys in our houses, just to, because we are giving them baits and all that. So all the time they are coming. So there, in that way, so many, in that way, so many things are there and so many areas are there. We receive vertebrate conflict. Now the reason here, just I would like to say one thing, because being an agriculturist, my perception is different, and a forest person, the people of the forest, they are having a different perception. I just tell you initially the perception from the agriculture point of view, that species specific habitat loss. Yes, there are habitats which are specific to animal. Now what is happening? They are not there. You might be knowing that in Gir, the Asiatic loin was there. Then wild ass were there. Then in our area, the Godawans were there. So now they are in very small number, and the habitat, their habitat are receiving a great loss for so many reasons. I am not saying that it is because of the human intervention only. Then of course, habit degradation and the fragmentation, it is one of the major cause. And intensive agricultural practices, yeah, as our population is increasing, we are increasing the area under cultivation. Of course, we are transforming the fertile land into the agriculture land. Then insufficient prey base. Of course, the wild animal like lion, tigers and all these, they are not finding the prey base inside the forest. So for that sake, they are coming out. That I have already told you, that increasing human population. So population pressure of not only of human, but livestock is also there. And the pressure of livestock is putting competition among the herbivores. So this is the one of the major reason for the conflict. Then land use transformation. Of course, we are changing the land use. We are just converting the land into the agriculture land. Of course, we are using the land for some developmental purposes. Of course, the life loss and economic loss is also one of the reason for the conflict. Then recently we have introduced this new concept, ecotourism. Of course, in agriculture, it's a new thing, but in forest, it's a very old practice. We are having the reserves, we are having the sanctuaries, and then we are having the national parks. So we are using these abodes of these wildlife as ecotourism, which because of this a lot of disturbance is there, and the wildlife is moving out of their territories and coming into the inhabited areas, and likewise. And the last point, I have intentionally inducted this point, the environment of the forest. Actually, what is happening here, the conflict is between agriculturists and the forest people. The reason is that we are never talking about ourselves. We are never talking that inside the forest, the conditions are not conducive for the wild animals, whether they are herbivores or they are predators. You can see frequently the forest fires are there. These forest fires, vegetations are removing because of the forest fire. Then most of the animals, they are sacrificed because of these forest fire. So I have never seen any report which is implicating the loss of natural habitat and the loss of wildlife because of the forest fire. I have not gone across. It might be there, and if it's there, I'll request Dr. Aishwarya to share it with me. Then the natural vegetation which is there, you can see that there are the vegetation, the preferred vegetations are there for the herbivores. If that preferred vegetation is not there inside the forest, they will come out. So what we have to do here, what we are doing, once the forest is established, or if a natural forest is there, we never visit inside the forest to see that what is the position of the forest is there, whether all the species are intact or they are rejuvenating or not, they are regenerating or not. If such kind of loss is there, then it's our duty that we should look into this and we should replenish the species which are not there. What is happening once the forest is established and everything is established, a sanctuary is established, a biosphere reserve is established, the government just stopped the funding, that it has been done. Now there is no need to maintain those areas. So a maintenance is required in those areas. We have to maintain the original communities, original plants, animal in those areas so that they can enjoy their food there only and they would not come out. Second, the scarcity of water. Water table is going down, and in the forest we are not keeping anything. Like in agriculture now we are doing that, we are harvesting the runoff water. So such kind of natural harvesting should be there with a slight modification, so that in rainy season we can just store the water, which can increase the water table in those areas, and the groundwater may come up. So these are some of the reasons because of that conflict is there. And if we just conclude, if we just sum up this, that then three major reasons come out. That is space, food, and shelter. And it is not for animals, it is for everybody. It is for us also. And now if we look at the various kind of conflicts in which the particular animal is involved, I have just defined here 4 or 5 kind of conflict: that killing of humans, killing of livestock, accidental injury, damage to crops, damage to property. Now, if we look at the different animals, the tiger, they are mainly involved in the first 2, killing of livestock and humans. Likewise, leopard, lion, and sloth bear, they are involved in these 2 tasks, killing of humans and livestock. Here, the snow leopard, it is busy in killing the livestock only. Then wild boar. Wild boar, of course, is a problem for the human being, and accidental injury, because many a time they come on the road, and a major threat to crop. They just harrow down the field and inflict a huge loss to the tuber crops especially, and of course other crops also, but tuber crops mainly. And if you just see the biomass, in our technically we say that an animal used to eat some percent of his body weight. So in case of rodent, we used to say that they just eat 10% of their body weight. If we transform that hypothesis or that theory for these animals, you can see how much damage they are doing. And these animals, besides direct feeding, they are also trampling the plants. So the main animals which are problem to agriculture are wild boar, nilgai, elephant, monkey, black bug, and gaur. So in that way, the animals are involved in the conflict in various areas, and this should be checked. Here I have shown some figure about the conflict and about the losses. The tiger, snow leopard, and bear, the livestock killed by these animals, you can see the figure. Likewise, the casualties of in the field of human deaths, human injuries, livestock death, crop damage. The source is, you are seeing, this is the source here. And of course, for this, the government has given the compensation. The provision for compensation is also there, which is there in the MSME. And the problematic population for the agriculture, especially if you see, or the other animal, the number of individual in case of tiger, we are barely having 2,226, but the leopard 12,000 to 14,000, nilgai more than 5 lakh, elephant more than 25,000, gaur more than 20,000, and sloth bear more than 10,000. Here my submission is that, of course, their number is less, elephant, gaur, and sloth bear. And they are not the real cause of concerns because hardly they come out of the field. If their preferred vegetation is there, elephant will not come out of the field. And what we suggest, whatever the fringe is there, what is the fringe? The fringe is the forest area and agriculture boundary. So what we suggest that you never grow a crop which is liked by the animal. Say for example, sugarcane is very much liked by the animal. So we suggest that where the elephants are there in the forest area, please won't grow sugarcane in the fringe area, grow that sugarcane in the central area. Otherwise, if in the fringe area, sugarcane is there, elephant will come out. Otherwise, elephant will find his preferred vegetation inside the forest only. But in case of nilgai, if you see the nilgai, they remain in the herds and they are more than 5 lakhs in number. Of course, I am sure that there is no census about the nilgai. It is an arbitrary figure which I have referred from some text, and I am sure that it is more than that what we are showing. So here some intervention from the forestry people is required, that there should be some amendment in the act so as to permit some amount of killing to these. Because if we are killing somebody, because there is a biological rule that if you have to sustain a population, then we have to reduce the population also. Because if you go by the life of nilgai, in captivity they remain up to 21 years, whereas in field they are there for 18 years. So for 18 years, 5 lakhs, say it's a base figure, and for 18 years, I think they are mature by 3 years, and for 15 years they are there for breeding. And there may be in a season they are having a gestation period of I think 9 months, and in a season they deliver twins. So in that way, if we go in the real census, so I am sure that their number are far more than what I'm showing. So what is here something about the Wildlife Act. So what Protection Wildlife Act has given to these animals? You all know that it was enacted in 1972. Here a correction is there. Now we are having the 6 schedules, 8 chapters and 60 sections. Section 11-12 of the chapter 3 is dealing with the hunting of wild animals to be permitted in certain cases. And the section 62 of Indian Wildlife Protect authorize the government of India by notification any wild animal to be included in Schedule 5. So what is Schedule 5? Schedule 5 consists the animals which are vermin. Vermin means they are problem to the property of human beings. Either it may be a crop field or it may be some other source. So if an animal is a real cause of concern, then it can be shifted to Schedule 5. And for that, our wildlife authorities are empowered to do so. Some figure has to be given to them. And it is since our forest is a chapter of both central and state. So all the authority vested in the central provide a special permission to the state, and then state on the behest of central provide the permission for killing and all that thing. Sometime what is happening, the state scale down the power. That means if a power of giving this permission vested in the chief wildlife warden, they just scale down it, and they may be vested to some rangers or sarpanch of the panchayats and like that. In Gujarat, this power has been given to the sarpanches. Whereas in Rajasthan also this power is vested to the rangers, but nobody is using this because even after you get the permission, so many formalities are there. So it is difficult, almost impossible to go with it. And here in different states, what is the status of the wildlife damage and what they are doing if such kind of problem is there. In Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Maharashtra, the provision of compensation is there. And of course, permission to kill is also being given to the Gujarat, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, then Telangana. But here I would like to mention that this permission is not a blanket permission. The permission is usually given to a particular period or to a particular locality. There is not a blanket permission and for a particular animal. Say for example, in Bihar, 2 or 3 years back, permission has been given to kill the Nilgai in the Brahmaputra delta, that is mostly there in the Muzaffarpur. So it was given for the period of 2 months in that area, and they killed around about 200 Nilgai. And there was a question in the parliament that why this permission has been given, and Maneka Gandhi went to the Supreme Court, but Supreme Court has ruled out this because the then Forestry Minister Prakash Javadekar Saab has given this permission because it was a real problem for the farmers. So just taking the cognizance of the reports and the damage data, Mr. Javadekar has given the permission that okay, you should go with the killing. It is really necessary. Then if such a conflict is there, then what should be the measures? If somebody asks you that what you do if such kind of problem is there, so your immediate reaction will be, okay, I will drive away the animal, I will remove the animal, I will kill the animal, or I will take the refuse of the law. Because we all are literate person, we know that a law is there and these are the higher animals. So this is just straightforward which come into our mind, but behind that so many things are, so many constraints are there. As an educationist or as a research, we know that these are some of the possible measures which we can go with it. But if you look at the constraints, if you come in the real field, you will face so many complications. So what are those? That lack of sustained efforts at local level. Of course, if you go in the field, you will receive so many complaints. But if you suggest them, okay, in a community manner, you deal with it, you go with some measures which are preventive measure, nobody will go in a community on a community basis. Individual efforts you will see, but there will be no sustained effort that one is going for getting relief from these wildlife. Then in our country, strong religious sentiments are there. Every animal is having a link with some god or something else, and we are very fearful person. So what in one movie, it was told that we are not God loving, we are God fearing people. So here, because of that also, we are not even touching the animals. Here this Nilgai, nothing to do with the guy. It is not a guy, it is an antelope. But the word guy is prefixed to this. Nobody is touching it. Now it become a holy cow. This is the problem. Then if you are going to get the permission of removing these animals, then a complicated paperwork. Nobody is going to indulge in the paperwork because at the fag end, you will not be given the permission. Then some suggestions come that eliminate, then you just eliminate these animals, remove these animals. You know that these are higher animals and they are much powerful, and their brain is, they are so intelligent that they understand the thing before you, that what you are going to do. Many a time, if you drop down from your vehicle, a Nil guy will sense that you are coming to the Nil guy. It will immediately vanish. So they are such an intelligent creature. So it is very difficult to tackle them. Then of course, lack of coordination within the district authorities. Even within the ministries, there is a lack of coordination. We never had a meeting with any of the forestry people. Though it is a forest subject in agriculture, it has been given to us. And a few months back, there was a meeting. There was some project with, I think, Australian government, a 4-year project, wherein a guideline for the management of these wild animals, including the agriculture commodities, has to be framed. And I was in the last meeting when it was almost finalized. So I just requested the PCCF, who was at the helm of affair. He was not interested to listen to me. I told that I am a coordinator. I am handling this project, and you are framing the guidelines for agriculture. And we have never been asked that what are the problems we are facing. What he is saying, no. Now, if you want some amendment, is it? Like, I have not gone through the guidelines, because in one day I cannot go through the guidelines. So okay, it's your problem. And I was not in the meeting for a longer period, or I was not supposed to allow to speak in that meeting, because reason is that we are having administrators in the forest. We are having the IFS with no research background. And we researcher have never been asked that what is the problem. We are with the farmers. Every time farmers complain us, and we become the victim of the farmers' agony, that all the time you are coming and you are giving no results. We have been repeatedly asked that what solution you are having for these animals, including the stray animals, by the ministers. We don't have any solutions, because Wildlife Act is there. Nobody is there to discuss that what changes are required at the ground level in the act. Of course, we are not saying that elephants should be kept in the vermin category, but the nilgai, which population is so much, the wild boar, which is in the foreign countries, the animal which is not their native is allowed to kill. Wild boar is the Eurasian, but still we are not getting the permission to kill. It is a foreigner, but still it is protected under the Schedule 2 of the Wildlife Act. So here, what are the challenges which we are facing? Initially, the challenge, we don't have the deficit which we are having. We don't have any management, proper management things. We don't have any infrastructure. Even, of course, so many technologies are there. Farmers are using but no validated technology is there. And lastly, we are working in isolation. No collaboration is there. I am happy that Dr. Aishwarya offered himself that he wants to work with us. So we just, and of course, VC Saab called me that he wants that a center should be there within the vertebrate. We tried our hard, and I'm sure this time, if not this time, then next time we should have this center with us. But this time we will have this center with us in some other shape. And I just request the VC Saab that you provide me all the help for agriculture point of view, because the person is so intelligent. Dr. Aishwarya is having a very excellent experience working with the wildlife. I have gone through his research papers. He is having a very, very vast and a very good knowledge about the wildlife. And we will certainly enjoy his knowledge in mitigating our agriculture problems. If you are seeing these challenges, information challenge, research challenge, then information challenge, what are the information challenge? Lack of information in their vector road. What is this? They are the carrier of dreaded diseases. So what they are carrying, we don't know. You might be amazed to know that in Himachal Pradesh, there a program ran for sterilization of monkeys. And I am just forgetting the name. Maybe Dr. Joshi was there, who were doing the sterilization part. And the major problem he was facing, that what disease a monkey carrying is not known to us. And if we go for sterilization, it may happen that disease may go into the human body and it may be fatal to us also. So we don't have any information about their vector role. Lack of preventive surveillance system, of course. Then lack of knowledge on the impact of climate change. Because I just told you that this can be done in their habitat only. And their habitat are in worst condition. Because of that, they are moving out. Lack of interdepartmental coordination among the multiple agencies. We have never worked with any of the forest people, any of the wildlife people in this aspect. Of course, we are in touch with one of our retired colleague, Dr. Goyal, who were in the wildlife. Now we are in touch with the Dr. Aishwarya, but none of the wildlife expert just offered his services that, okay, we can give you the training, because we are totally new. We don't know how to survey and how to go with the behavioral studies and all that. So in that case, the help of the wildlife people are required because they know these aspects. Then the research challenges, lack of data on vertebrate losses, including methodologies. Of course, it is a new task for us. Lack of standard operating practices. Inadequate technology for higher animal management. Then conflict zone with Wildlife Protection Act and lack of expert advisory system. If you see, there is only one scheme in the country which is called All India Network Project on Vertebrate Pest Management, which came into existence in 2014 only. We are having very handful of people who are working earlier on the rodents and the bird. This shows that we are also not the complete expert of these animals. We are also in the learning stage. And if you see the curriculum of the universities, I think there are a handful of the universities who are teaching the wildlife, who are teaching the impact of these animals in the agriculture. We don't have any MSc or BSc graduates who are trained in this. Of course, we are having the person from the zoology background, but they are not so skilled that they can support us in our endeavor. So these challenges are making vertebrate pests to determinantly affect the food and health security of the country. Here, keeping all these problems in the mind, the ICR for last so many years was struggling that we should initiate some work in the agriculture field also, but how it can be initiated, because it is a forestry subject. It comes under the environmental ministry. So one of our ADG, Dr. Rajendran, who was ADG plant protection during 14-15, he just come up with the idea that already we are having two AICRPs. One is rodent and another is this bird. They are vertebrates. So why don't we include more vertebrate in these and combine it and come up with a new concept? That means an all India network project on vertebrates, which will take care of the vertebrate problem in the agriculture field. So with this idea, a new AI All India Network Project on Vertebrate Pest Management came into existence in 2014 with the objective to reduce the man-animal conflict in the agricultural landscape, then a spatial distribution pattern of vertebrate and assessment of crop damage, development of cost-effective and eco-friendly management technologies, then general issues, risk assessment. Of course, there should be a thorough knowledge of ecology of pest. Then technology options, it may two are there, short-term and long-term. Formation of a national expert group, because alone agriculture person cannot mitigate the problem. We require the person who are linked for this. That means from all the field, from the wildlife, from the forestry or from other sources which can give some input in this. And on the long-term basis, we require a database. We require management plans. Then policy imperatives. Of course, the act was written in 1972. And now presently, the worry is that we don't have a census data. We don't know the number, what actual number are there, and whether the status which a particular animal is enjoying is entitled for enjoying that status, or it is a problem animal. Then strategies, a need-based research and popularization. Popularization is required, and for that reason, I am very thankful to the Vice Chancellor Sahab of the Banda University and my friend Aishwarya to give me the opportunity to come on this platform, because I know that people from various sources are the participants or the trainees in this training. And what message I am giving to them, it will go further, and in that way it will be multiplied. So my humble request is that you should carry this message and you should multiply this message, so that at national level some concrete can be done with the combination of all the ministries which are really required in this. So initially the ICR has included the 3 animals: wild boar, nilgai, and macaque, because we have received so many complaints about these 3 problems. So initially we have included 3 these, but we are not restricting to these 3 only. If some more are there, we will include some more are there. The reason for vertebrate problem in agriculture, of course, degradation of the habitats, because you know that agriculture's mostly having the monocultures. They are nutrient rich, so they attract the animal. From the degraded habitats, the animal come out and go in the agriculture field. Then non-availability of preferred dietary items in the natural habitat. Again, I am repeating that we have to see the climate, the environment of the forest, whether the preferred vegetation of a particular animal is there or not. We have to rejuvenate our forest. We have to regenerate our forest with these vegetations which are depleting. Then depleting natural predatory pests. Of course, predators are less. This is the reason a ecological balance is not there. We are having the more prey populations. Then increasing populations. Of course, we are increasing leap and bounds. We are 135 crores in number. And you know that land is very limited. When land is limited, of course, a pressure is coming on the forest. And in that way, we are competing with our wild herbivores or the wild animals. So this is one of the reasons they are coming out and they are problem in the agriculture land. Then changing cropping pattern. We are now going with the remunerative crops. Say, for example, we are going with the protein-rich crops. So these crops are attracting the animal. So just to fulfill their requirement, these herbivores are coming out and depreding these crops, which just fulfilling their requirement, which is essential. Then providing excellent cover and suitability for the wild animals. Yeah, of course, the crop is providing a very good cover. Just 5 to 6 days back, I was in Dosa, where this mustard plantation was very high, and just I was roaming and I find that 2 or 3 nilgai was sitting inside that plantation, and they were not visible from outside. So it provided a very excellent cover. Then higher adaptability of the species. Of course, they are adaptable to any area. And I am telling particularly about the wild boar and nilgai. They are highly adaptable. They can adapt to extreme heats and extreme low temperature. So in that case, these are the main reasons that these animals are a problem in the agriculture. Then what are the requirements? How we can mitigate the problem? So the backstage requirements are that we should have a thorough knowledge about the biology and population of these pest species. Then ecology of the species within physical and biotic environment. This is lacking. Still, to be on the very precise or very frank, we don't have the methodology to study these aspects. That has to develop. For that sake, we require the help of some expert, because experts which are working on these aspects, they are mainly working for the forest area, or they are working in the natural field. But when the herbivores are coming out and they are there in the agriculture field, what change is there in their ecology or biology, that we have to understand. How now, I'm sure that their feeding period might be changed, their activity period might be changed. So how they are performing their activities, that we have to understand vis-a-vis our physical and biotic environment. Then understanding of relationship between pest species to land use, management practices, and other human activities. This is a very important aspect from agriculture point of view. So need to develop suitable, cost-effective, and eco-friendly technologies for sustainable crop productivity without violating the Wildlife Protection Act. Now you can see what a hard task it is. What we are doing is just a preventive exercise. And in that case, we require a cooperation, a cooperative-based motive. But what is happening, we are just throwing our problem to others' field. In prevention, in the name of prevention, what we are doing, we are just throwing our problem to others' field. So a cost-effective and eco-friendly technologies is a must. Now, how it will be developed? Presently, I don't have the answer for this, but in subsequent slide, I will try that what we are doing and how we are going after solving this problem. Now, if you look at the extent of damage by these vertebrates in agriculture, here you can see rodents extent of damage 15%, birds 9%. And in case of the higher animals, of course, you are seeing that damage is on higher side. But if you see this statement, the intensity of damage depends upon the population density, cropping pattern, extent of the crop area, season and state of the crop. And further, the value of crop loss are for the individual field and not for the particular crop or an entire state. That means this data is lacking, because still we don't have a concrete technology to find out the damage. A reason, we don't have a proper understanding of the ecology of these animals. We don't have a proper data on the population of these animals in a particular state or at a national level, so that we can come up after going for taking a sample data, and we can just extrapolate it and come out with some damage figure. So whatever is there, we are doing a study in a particular area. In that area, what we came across, it is because of that, because many a time a habit is more preferred by some animals and their population may be more. So we cannot claim that this situation will always be there in other field also, because in Rajasthan, the situation is totally different. We don't have a continuous spread of the fields, crop field. We are having intermittent crop fields. We are having some fallow areas also. But if you go to Punjab, Haryana, UP, it is we are having a continuous stretch of crop fields. So there the problem is more. In our area, the resting areas are there. That means orans are there, some fallow lands are there. But in Punjab and Haryana, the problems are there. You might be amazed to know that in UP, because that arhar, the people stopped growing arhar, because the height of arhar is so much, and nilgai used to hide themselves inside the arhar, and in the night they go for the damage. So they stopped growing the arhar in that area. Now, next, now the species why I want to share our technologies and our work. Initially, this is project initiated 1977 as a rodent management project. So we have a lot of technologies for the rodent, and these are working, of course. And one good point is that rats and mice are not covered under the Wildlife Act, so they are free from the Wildlife Protection Act. So we can go for their killing. This is the reason we are having the good technologies for these creature, and we are having crop specific technologies also for these creature. Initially, the very good technology which we are having is having a use of poison. We are using poison in a bait form, and in India only two poisons are there. One is chronic and another is this acute. And we are worried about this, that in coming days we may face some resistance problem. But some companies have come up with the new formulations also. They are under trial, and we will soon we will have some new molecules also. Here, if you see in rice crop, this technology we are having, that weed and bund management. We should optimize the size of weed and bund, because in rice, you know that all the time water is there. So there is one rat which is called bandicoot. Bandicoot remain there in the rice field on the bunds and cover its burrow with the with the sand mound. So for this, eco-friendly burrow fumigator has been developed by one of our center. What they are doing, they are just covering all the burrows and just keeping this on one burrow and just letting the husk of the rice inside the burrow, and whatever the fume come inside the burrow, they just travel in all the burrows and suffocate the rodent to death. So it is a very good technology. And we are also using the bait of a bromodiazole. I am not going in the detail, because bait preparation, all these are there. So that we are not dealing here. I am not going to detail it, because our main motive is the human-animal conflict. If you see the damage alone with the rodent, here I have given some figure. Just I want to emphasize that there is no field where you won't find the rodent. In poultry, they are there. In storage, they are there. In cereals, they are there. In vegetable, they are there. Still in fruits, they are. Of course, they are carrier of so many dreaded diseases, and they are a problem for soil conservation program. They are problem for our construction sites. So in every sphere, you will see the rodent. Likewise, if you look at the bird, of course, birds are also providing some problem in the agriculture. Some crops like jowar, makka, bajra, they are very vulnerable to the birds. And one of the key pests is these parakeets. And some of the methods which we are using just to ward off the birds from the field are the use of refractive ribbons, then roughing method of the maize. This is a new method which is developed by one of our center. What they are doing, you are seeing this maize cob. What they are doing, these additional leaves, they are covering the maize cob with these leaves, side leaves. So in that way, these parakeets are not damaging this cob. So this is a very simple and cost-effective method. Then barrier crops also, just to check the entry or just to lure the predator, the depredatory birds towards these crops. Then block plantation. One of our studies has suggests that if we go for a plantation in a large area, then a compensatory effect is there. You will find a very less damage, because birds will spread out and a less damage will be there. Then of course, they are protected under Wildlife Act. So whatever the methods we are having, they are non-chemical. They are non-lethal. Of course, chemicals we are using. We are using some chemicals for the seed treatments, pyrotechnics just to produce the sounds, and bird acoustics. Acoustics, that means a bioacoustics, the sound which are produced by the birds itself, we are using, or the other animals, we are using those sounds to ward off the birds from the field. Some more animals on which we are working. One is the wild boar. If we see in the other countries what they are doing, because in other countries they are permitted to kill the animal which are problem. But in our country, such things are not there. So whatever we are using, they are just preventive method, because they all are protected by the Wildlife Act. So here we have developed some of the techniques against the wildlife, that means physical barrier. It is, as the name understands, that we are using various kind of fencings, which may include barbed wire, chain link, circular razor fencing, SDP, net, and trenches. Then biological barriers. I'll show you the figures also in my subsequent slide. Through this, it is clear that what technologies we are using and evolving. Then safflower, castor, ajwain, and all these, they are used as a biological barriers. And then non-chemical practices, spraying egg solution at the rate of 20 ml per liter, nevar soaked in kerosene, use of phorate and thymate granules, coconut rope soaked in mixture of sulfur and pig oil, because their smell are their stinging smell is there. So these wild boars are sniffers. So when they sniff, this stinging smell repel them, and they won't come to the area. Then traditional method is spraying of local pig dung along the border. As you know that these animals are having the territorial behavior. So if you just sprinkle the dung of one of an animal, and if an animal from other herd come and see that, so that animal might guess that some animal is there inside. So I think I should not go inside, and in that way it works. We are just exploiting the territorial behavior of an animal in using these techniques. Then spreading of human hair along the border. You know that these wild boars are sniffers. So when they sniff, this hair goes inside their nostril, and itching is there. So because of that, they are not coming to same place again and again. Then use of different scarecrows and old color saris, use of dogs to ward off them. Then bioacoustic method. Of course, this is the technique on which we are working. I'll just give you the details of this technique. That playing the alarm, stress, and predatory call that deter the wild boar from the crop area. This we are just working on, because it is one of the researchable issue. Here you can see that barbed wire fencing, then chain link fencing. Then just we are digging the trenches, so that you are seeing the boar. It is there and it is not coming towards this. This is the SDP net. What we are doing, that we are rolling this net on the ground for 3 to 4 feet. So it is a nature of this wild boar that is just lift from here, and once it lift from here and go inside, it entangles inside the this SDP nylon. The villagers just pick it up and throw it out. So circular razor, it is also a good. Then biological barriers, just I told you that these crops can be grow outside as a border crop, and the main crop will remain inside. This also provide a good control or a good prevention from the wildlife. That high density safflower, you know that safflower is having spines, so a wild boar won't go inside the crop in that way. Then castor is there, of course ajwain is there, then karonda is there. Then some chemicals, non-chemicals, which we are using, phorate and thymate, their smell, egg solution. Then here you can see the jute rope soaks in the sulfur and pig oil. Then jute rope soak in the ecodone. Ecodone is one of the castor-based formulation developed by some of the company, which is used, and it is very good in repelling the wild boars. Some of the traditional method, here you can see that local pig dung smoke. So this is generated just by tidying these pitchers outside the crop, and in that way they are just getting the wild boar from their field. The use of these colorful sarees, electric fencing. Here I'm not sure. I just want intervention of Dr. Aishwarya. You just go through the literature and see whether this is allowed, because what we are using is the 12-volt color, which is very mild, and just a shock is coming, which is not fatal. I have gone through so many literatures, but I don't find that whether it is allowed or not. But one of my colleague was saying that we can use a non-lethal current. but I just request Dr. Aishwarya, so please give me some intervention on this. And of course, deployment of the professional, they just use the sound and they just throw the wild animals which are coming into the field out. Now, this is the thing on which we are working, the bioacoustic. Now, what is bioacoustic? Bioacoustic, as the name indicates, bioacoustic. Bio means live animal. Acoustic means sound. So natural sound produced by the animals and the bird, then it is between the 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz and audible to human beings. These three characters which we are using, and what we are doing, we are just recording the calls, the predatory calls, the alarm calls, the stress calls, all these calls which we are recording, and then we are sequencing them. And after preparing a sequence, we are running it, and we are running it on the critical period only. Otherwise, the animal will adapt to those. So here you can see the pictorial, the alarm call. This is an alarm call. That means the Neil guy has shown something, and now it is providing alarm to the other mates that won't come here. Something is there, or some electric shock she might have received. So she is giving the call to others that won't come here. Distress call, that means that monkey has got some problem. Either it has been tagged somewhere or some problem is there, so it is giving distress call. Then predatory call, of course, when the predatory animals, this is the predatory animal call. We are recording then we are preparing the sonograph. Here you can see the sonograph of different birds and animal, which is prepared by one of the center. And in that way, for the monkey, this has been prepared. Then for wild boar and predators, this is the picture. And after having all these calls, we construct the call. Then how the calls are constructed? This is the construction of the call. Relevant calls are placed besides one another to form a chain. Here you can see the chain has been formed. Gaps are given for the silence. Whatever the gaps, the white portion is a gap. The silence is there. That means a distress call come, then a silence. Again, for half a minute, the silence is there. Then again, predatory call may come. So these calls are jumbled, and there is no fixed sequence. Soon you start the equipment, you will receive a different call in another sequence. This has been done just to avoid the adaptation to these calls. So presently we are using these. In that way we are constructing the call, and we are just running these call through a equipment which is we called as the bioacoustic equipment. This is the main body where we are having the battery and an instrument to run these calls. Then this is the solar panel. So this battery is charged by the solar panel, and it runs the. This is IoT based through mobile, because it is also having one chip inside, and through mobile you can run this. So what we suggest that during the critical period only, you just run it. You can run it from your house only, and you can close it from your house only. Just run during the critical period to avoid the acclimatization of the animal. It is working very well in Telangana, where a vast area of agriculture is there. The rice is the main crop. It is working well. Now the management method for some other animals also. For blue bull, the same high density plantation, then border fencing with some live fence, bioacoustic, then spraying of some repellents, and of course the spraying of whale excreta, because we are exploiting the territorial behavior of these animals. Same is here. We can use the sounds to the word of the monkeys. We can use bioacoustics, botanicals. These all are there. Nothing new is there. What we have developed this bioacoustic. We have sequenced these. Of course, sound producing organs are there, but it is in a scientific manner. We have collect all the kinds of calls, because geologists are knowing that the animal communicate through sound. So we have recorded those sound. We have also recorded the predatory sound. We have clubbed those sounds, and prepared a sequence which run in a all the time in a different way that can avoid the acclimatization by the animal, and it will provide a good result. Here we having a one of the success story which I am just going to give you. You can see the result. Here you can see 10 to 15 monkey raided a crop, and loss you can see 9,000. Then through watch and word, the cost was 120 per day. 9 to 12 monkey, 300 per day. Rupees 300 was the loss. And when it used the sound gadget, of course the cost was 17,000, but the loss was. So if we keep this or this, if you keep this, then the recovery period is the 3 year. So in 3 years, this is free. So how it can be used? Just a ITK or just an integrated schedule. What we have done that stop the provision of food. This is for monkey. Then prune the avenue tree branches. Play the bioacoustic sound, gunfire. It will provide effective control till day. Now the way forward. As I told you that we are not 100% done because still we are in the learning stage. So what is required? The development of precise database on population, growth rate, crop damage by animals, and to implement BPM on prioritization basis. Then ITK is available in the domain. This should be documented so that, and after documentation, it should be validated across the locations so that we come up with 1 or 2 sound technology that can be used across the location. Then bioacoustic, of course, we have developed and we are evaluating, but at some place they are working well and we are receiving good response. But at some place, response is very meager. One reason that I understand is that we have given them free of cost. And I'm sure and I am extremely confident if you give something free of cost to anybody, you will not get the result. Because nobody is going to see that equipment and nobody is going to look after that, what benefit I have got from this equipment. He will just start the equipment and it will go on running until it just ruined by itself. So free bridges are very, very dangerous things. Through giving the things free, we cannot evaluate anything. Then we are having a less trained manpower. Agriculture scientists, there is no provision to have the expert in the agriculture field. So what can be done through universities? We can have some expert manpower to this field. We can incorporate a syllabus in UG and PG studies so that whatever the protection people we are getting, they should have this knowledge of these animals also. So in that way, we can get some trained manpower. Then organization of awareness programs of the BPM. Of course, we are organizing, but we are handful. If if such trainings are there, we can provide material, we can provide everything. If the people who are listening to this training course wants to go with the training on wildlife, on this vertebrate management aspect, we are here to just share our knowledge and share our material to them. So in that way, it can be increased and it can go to a vast area. Then prioritization of the research topic for the funding in addressing the VPM issue. Of course, we require some projects in this aspect also, so that we can go with some new technologies. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much for the patient listening. Now, if you have some queries, so I am just unsharing my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It was really wonderful, listening to you, and you have provided a very, nice holistic approach. It started from the identifying the gaps, what are the ecological principles. And one thing which I should potentially add, and you have rightly mentioned in your presentation as well, that human wildlife conflict, it is not just an ecological problem, and there could not be an ecological solution. It is a mixture of socio-ecological perspective. So that is why we have to come on board, the local communities, the agricultural, the horticultural, the wildlife, the forestry, all, scientists and working from the all multi-sectoral kind of approach. So with that, sir, I would now request our participants, if they have, I do have some questions in the chat box, but before that, I would come back to the participants. If they have any questions, please, you may ask them directly. Meanwhile, sir, I would ask, Dr. Gupta is asking, sir, what is the role of local communities in human wildlife conflict and mitigating such conflicts?
Sir, local community has a major role to play in mitigating that. I just told you that so many religious taboos are there. When we go to them and when we instruct them that you just go with such kind of thing just to restrict or to prevent these wildlife to come to your field. What they are saying that, sir, we won't go with this. If you can do, you go with it. One thing. Second thing is that, sir, we are having the preventive measures. So what the people are doing, they are just throwing their problem from their field to another field. So if you see the major incidents or major accidents, they are only happening when somebody is after them, and that pupil is just trying to ward off these animals from his place to another place. So they are coming with speed on the road and indulge in the accident. So such kind of practice, the villages which are near to the highways and all these things, they should avoid such kind of practices. This is in the night. In the night, their movement is very frequent, but they are not moving briskly in the night. They are just traveling across. So in that case also, we have to see when we are moving on the roads, if something is coming or not coming. But these local people, if they are not indulged in disturbing these in the night, because they are there for the ward and watch. If this is coming into their field, they are busy in. So a lot of role can they play in just reducing such kind of accidents. Just I tell you that in one of the cases, I was informed that a local pupil was after the Nil guy, and a car was coming on the road, and two of the people who were standing there, they just instructed him, you just wait, one car is coming. But no, he was not. He was busy in running before the animal and just throwing it on the road and just to remove that animal in the another field. So my submission is that, sir, local people on community basis can mitigate this problem, this conflict, and so many things are there. They in our area, the natural refuge are there. They can move these animals into that. But in other areas, such refuge can be created, and it can be done at local level only, sir, because they are having so many pupils with them. They are having sarpanch with them. So they are listening to each other. They are not listening to us. So local people having a major role to play. If they understand the problem, 50% of the problem is solved.
Exactly, sir. The local communities are one of the major stakeholders in mitigating the human-wildlife conflict. The next question is coming. Would the acoustic, that means the bioacoustic tools, are effective where natural predators have been wiped off?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
To be very frank, we are using these equipments in the area where natural predators are not there. Acreage of crop is there. No forest is there, no refuge is there. They are living inside the field only. No natural predator is there. So we are using these bioacoustic in those areas, not in other areas. In agriculture fields, we are using where no other means of control is there. So they are very effective. But the problem is that, sir, such kind of things are effective for 1 or 2 years, because these animals are higher animals and they are very intelligent. So in that case, what we are doing, we are changing the sequence. We are coming up with some new calls. So every time we are changing the calls. So what, in other words, we can say that we don't have a 100% solution to that.
Certainly, sir, one size won't fit for all. And, you know, in the meetings and in the such kind of seminars, when I'm being asked for that, you know, what could be the uniform mitigation tool, there are no uniformity mitigation tools as far as human wildlife conflict is concerned. Because, you know, the demography, the species ecology, the landscape, the topography changes, and, you know, we cannot with surety replicate one mitigation tool to another mitigation tool without having a proper, you know, understanding of the ecology of the species and the demography of the area. Rightly mentioned, sir. And before I hand over to Dr. Kaushal, one of our coordinators, you know, organizing this 21 days training program, sir, from you know, Bandha University of Agriculture and Technology. We really, you know, are grateful to you for having this wonderful session on the human-wildlife conflict. And as you rightly mentioned, we really look forward, you know, working with you, learning from your incredible experiences on mitigating the human-wildlife conflict, and of course, adding, you know, to more chapters on the scientific ecology perspective as far as wildlife sciences is concerned. So with that, sir, thank you very much. And I would now request Dr. Kaushal Singh to please deliver vote of thanks to sir. To you, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshwari. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving a knowledgeful lecture. It was really a wonderful lecture covering all the aspects from traditional to modern, and the problems which are facing on the ground. Farmers are really facing on the ground and adopting the systems. As I have also seen in my home district, Mathura, the farmers are also using the electric buyer to escape the stray cows. So really, it was a excellent lecture, sir. Our participants will definitely be enriched or benefited from these technologies which are developed by you and your institute in this area. No doubt, this is a difficult field because of the acts and regulations of the wildlife in this system, and you nicely present your work, sir. It was really great. And on behalf of the organizing committee and on my own behalf, I would like to thank you very much, sir, to sparing your valuable time and enrich our participants from your vast experience. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Before I call it a day, I just I have one request, that I request all the participants to take this message to their areas so that we can have a widespread popularization of these techniques. And this is a special request to Aishwarya and all the organizers, that I think in such training there is a feedback form. After 6 months also we receive the feedback form. So if you please can have the feedback from the all the participants, that what they have done from the learning of this training in their area. Of course, I am interested in my aspect. They will give all the aspect. So I shall be highly obliged. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. So, dear participants, you know, it was really incredible lecture by sir. So our next presentation on mangroves, and that we are really looking forward to. So we can take, you know, a 5-minute small break, and meanwhile I will also, because he joined and I think he left. I will also request Dr. Alok Saxena Saab to, you know, come online in 5 minutes. So we will take just a 5-minute break, and then we will reassemble here. Thank you.